Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for Wednesday, the 26th day of August, 2020. Well, I've done this a couple of times because my screen keeps freezing on me, so we'll see if we get through this. If I have to start again, I will. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing well today. We have an 8 energy today, so if you're drawn to leadership, think very carefully how you express that today, so that you're more drawn into it instead of asserting yourself into it. Sometimes that's not received very well. But Wednesday's a day that you have to take stock and kind of let things settle out, so be sure you do that and know what's going on before you step forward into that position. It could just be people not wanting to take responsibility for anything, and they're just going to dump it in your lap. Yeah, I see a lot of that going on these days, and it's frustrating to watch, because you get people acting in ways that don't make any sense, and realistically, it's not even from them, it's from somebody else that's sort of pushing them in that direction. So, people have agendas right now. It's so weird, there's this, I realize I'm an empath, but and also I'm intuitive, right? I'm kind of both. I hate to delineate anything. I just know stuff. We'll just put it that way. It doesn't really matter how I know it. But the point is there's this weird pressure with people anymore. And that it's like they're trying to manipulate something. And it's exhausting. It's just exhausting. It's like, can't we just live in truth? And stop making everything about what somebody wants or some kind of power shift or something like that. Why, can't it just be some kind of harmonious, shared path forward? Because I'm going to tell you, it works better when it is, right? But that's what I've just been feeling for so long lately. It's just this weird pressure of agenda-driven behavior that's just so counterproductive and so deceptive. It's nobody can just come out and say, "Hey, this is what I think, and this is what I want, and this is what I think should happen." And then let's talk about it, right? Maybe you get your way, maybe you don't, or maybe you get part of it, or maybe you get none of it. But the point is that we all have to be involved in the decision, not just a couple people or one person or what have you, deciding for everybody else what's going to happen, right? So I don't know. It just feels like it's this weird pressure. So today, the 8 energy is something where, or not the 8 energy, but the, there is an 8 energy for today, but the Wednesday energy of letting things come to some kind of balance, settling out, I think is important today, just to get some clarity of what's going on, really. So anyhow, if this is your first time here, welcome. I talk a little bit while I shuffle. Otherwise, you just sit and watch me shuffle, and that's no fun. Anyway, except when I start throwing cards around on the floor. It's like, oh, geez. My cards are too bent, and I've been sitting here bending them before I started this, but it's not enough. Once you shuffle, sometimes you just got to stop and bend your cards back. Otherwise, it makes it really impossible to shuffle them. Also, it may be that I need to just get a new deck, one that's newer. But anyway, I like this one. And so I don't know, I'm reluctant to do that. I had to do it once because I lost a card. Actually, it turns out I lost 3, and I didn't realize it. I realized it when I found the other one, finally. It had fallen down, and I'm like, oh, God, there's a card. Well, no, there were 3. Turns out I was missing 3 cards out of that deck, and I didn't realize it. And so I don't know how that happened. And I suspect that it happened in stages. But at one point, I'm like, oh, I really don't have all my cards here, and so I need to go and get another deck. And so I did. And that's this one. So if I lose a card, I have cards from the other one. I can just, But fortunately, that hasn't happened again. So anyway, you have to take care of your tarot decks. Otherwise, they end up everywhere. Anyhow, let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards and see what we've got to start with. I do take the 13th one each time for randomness sake. I don't want to influence anything by my shuffling. So I like to do it that way, only for this reading, not for normal ones. I usually just shuffle and lay the cards out in some pattern I want to use, but for this one, I do it that way. And when we're done, I'll take a rune from the, unless we add more cards or something, but if not, I'll take a rune from the Elder Futhark bag, and my Rowan runes are in here. And then I will finish out then with a geomancy rune by creating one of those. Oh, and I published that geomancy reading yesterday. That's probably why I forgot to publish this, because I got involved with that. But that's up on the blog. It turned out interesting. I think I'm going to start doing it that way. How I really enjoyed it. It was a fun process. Mostly I just did it because I don't think I've ever actually done a reading on the blog that way. Usually it's just the shield chart, and so like I'll do a monthly reading or whatever for that. And but this was just using the house chart, and that was fun. I liked it. So I think I'm going to do it again. But check that out over there on the blog. And it'll be up there near the top. There's a couple of them that are sticky, but if you just scroll down, you'll see it. It's a geomancy reading for yesterday. And see what you think. I thought it turned out pretty well. So anyway, I guess that's it as far as housekeeping, I think. Anyway, if not, if I remember something, I'll tell you. But otherwise, I think that's all I have there. Let's see, the magical forecast goes up every day. That's there. The esoteric influences I actually write up, and there's actually an extended version on the blog than what I do in the reading on the videos. So that's also up. You can check that out. And the new one for today will be up before this gets finished. So, and I guess and posted, unless I do it like I did today and post it tomorrow morning. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Anyway. My life is crazy right now. It really is. Harvest is coming in, and oh gosh, it's just one thing after another. So anyway, it's just the time of the year, so apologies. I'll do better today, I hope. Anyway, let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards and see what we have. Ooh. We have the 5 of Wands, so a little playful struggle here today. Not too serious. Nobody's really smacking one another in that on that card. They're just, you know, trying to assert themselves. It's like when kids play, you know, well, okay. So my husband has, let's see, 3 other brothers and a sister. The boys, there was this point, and I don't know if it was my husband and his brother. It was a blended family, and so there was the one girl from his family, from his dad's side, and then his mom brought my husband and his brother into the family, and then they had 2 more. Okay, 2 more boys. So I don't know if the battle lines were drawn on basically based on age, where you had the older boys on one side of the car and the younger boys on the other side, but BB guns were involved. And let's just say Dad was not happy. I don't know if the car was hit in the battle, but anyway. Now, at least in terms of intention, it was the 5 of Wands, but in terms of effect, I don't know that people weren't injured. So anyway, that's whenever I see this, I always think of that story that my husband tells about that time when the BB gun wars were happening and a car was involved in the driveway. So anyway, was it a Studebaker? I don't know. I'll have to ask my husband what car it was. Maybe, I don't remember. It might have been a Studebaker. Sometimes my father-in-law would buy cars and fix them up. So I don't know. It just is projects, you know. So he liked to do stuff like that. And so it could have been that, but I don't know. I'll have to check. I'll have to ask him. Let's do our next card. Well, I have to ask my husband. My father-in-law's already passed, but I'll have to ask my husband. And I didn't mean to imply I would ask my father-in-law, because I can't do that now. I have the 9 of Pentacles. This is just a lovely card. Peace and security in the garden. you kind of, it's like she's kind of at the, not really at the end of her life, but it's the end of the week, we'll say. The 9 is about endings and completion, coming to conclusion. So it's like, she's basically wealthy, and she's somebody that is a woman of means, likely a queen. It's usually how I interpret her. But she's just enjoying her day with her falcon. She's going to go falcon hunting. And she's got all of her wealth and abundance around her. So she's feeling very secure. Not everybody is experiencing that, though. If you look at the 5 in terms of change and a battle of wills, it could be deciding how you achieve something like this. But I don't know. We'll see. Here we have the Page of Wands, a new expression of will, new expression of creativity, genesis of something new, vitality. Pages are usually students. They're messengers. It can indicate, depending on what it's paired with, if it was, say, the Page of Cups, you could have maybe signaling a pregnancy or childbirth. But you're looking at, it's kind of the same energy as the Fool. It's kind of the same energy as the Ace. It's all about new beginnings and genesis. So with the Fool, it's undeveloped potential, as with the Page. With the Ace, it's the genesis of something new. Again, in this case, it has to do with will or creativity, because it's the suit of wands, or the fire element. You can see all of the oranges down below on the pyramids and the sand. It's all fiery and orange. His leggings are orange. But his staff is true. In other words, it's fully upright, fully straight. And because he's gripping it with both hands, he's really taking command of how that expresses itself. And so instead of letting the undeveloped potential just flow out of him, he's kind of taking charge of it. And that's sort of the addition of will in there. In other words, he's going to set the direction. He's going to set the course. Well, let me just put these down and we'll take a look at them. I think that I'm going to put the Page of Wands in the center. And let's talk about this from the standpoint of change. We're just going to, instead of having a significator, I think we're just going to go 1, 2, 3 and look at them that way. Sometimes I like to have a card that seems to emerge as sort of the focal point of it, or the significator, and then the rest are part of that description and of what that's really all about. It gives you more of the details, in other words. But this time I think we're just going to go 1, 2, 3. So it's sort of a progression, if you will. But here you have the 5 of Wands. And we have wands twice, of course, in this reading. 5 is about change. It's about protection. But here you have a battle of wills, but nothing that's really harming anyone, because you can see they're not doing anything to one another. They're just sort of out there waving their staffs around, and they're just sort of, kind of asserting their own authority or their own perspective or their own, creative side or whatever to whatever is brewing right here. So we don't know that necessarily the change that's taking place is necessarily bad. We don't even know that someone is going to come out on top here. It could just be the discussion over how we proceed, right? And so everybody's got their own ideas. They've got their own, perception of how that should happen. Now, granted, the fact that it's not swords, we're not dealing with swords or the air element, so we would think more along the lines of perception if we were. But with the fire element and wands, you're really talking more about the will and how that will is going to manifest. Well, when we're looking at trying to figure out something, trying to figure out a new path forward, that's basically what we're doing. We're bringing different will together to try to find out what the truth of the matter is and what's going to make the most sense in terms of how we craft it all, okay? How we craft that foundation. And I think that that's what we're talking about. Change needs to happen with the 5, but how we go about it is still a matter of, we're still trying to figure that out. And that's really what I think this is. I don't think that this is necessarily a violent picture. You don't see any blood, in other words. You don't see any bandages. You don't see any signs of wounding like you do in other cards, okay? When clearly it's a battle, then you generally see, you know, the effects of that, and usually blood's involved. I don't know. It just is. So we've played around, and we've played around with different ideas and different, you know, how are we going to do this and how are we going to do that and what's it all going to look like. And now we've made a decision, haven't we? He's headed in a forward direction, the page is. He's looking that way, so that's where he's going. You've got spirit involved because you're looking at the pyramids in the back there. Typically, when you see that, you're seeing it with a knight involved, and so you're looking at the it's like taking Robert the Bruce's heart on pilgrimage to the Holy Land. I've said that a million times. They're in my ancestry, so you know I always look. I go and I research them. I swear I've spent more time on Wikipedia alone, not to mention you know purchasing this book or that book, trying to figure out who my people are. But it's the idea of they were very spiritually conscious, and so they would do the trek, the pilgrimage to Jerusalem to take, you know, in service to that whole, to their spiritual truth, their spiritual reality. And so in this case, they took Robert the Bruce's heart to the Holy Land. I don't know what they did with his body. I'm assuming that they buried it. I think that he's in some chapel somewhere, but I don't know. I can't remember if I ever saw that. But the heart went to Jerusalem, anyway. Whether it was a knight or a Knights Templar, I was related to the man who did that as well. So it's weird. It's do your ancestry. It's weird and it's cool, and you get to find out so many things, and some of it is completely unsettling because my people were. I went looking for witches and I found the mother lode, but they were within royalty. I had no idea, right? It was on my paternal side. I expected all this on my maternal side, not the royalty, but the witches, right? But I can't get anywhere there. But on my paternal side, oh good Lord. Anyway, that's and so I've had the chance just to research all of it. But anyway, when you see the pyramids, you're talking about a journey. This generally partially spiritual, at least. But it's going to a place of where new will is expressed. You know, you have the fire element that brings everything into focus, right? Everything into form. That's part of if you look at the rune I'll use, you're looking at air, fire, and water focusing then into earth, okay? And so fire is that creative spark that then starts it all, right? Although some might say it's emotion, but realistically, the spark of creation is the fire element. And so when you're looking at the pyramids, you're looking about the whole idea of spiritual creation and the undeveloped potential associated with the page. However, he's got his staff firmly in hand, so something has to have been decided about whatever's going on here. I think we need a fourth card because I think we need one either between the page and the queen over here and the Nine of Pentacles, or we need something to explain how she got to this point. So here we have the end result, which is, or the conclusion of it all, is a settled and abundant life of success and wealth, and or at least abundance of some kind, if not, you know, being extraordinarily wealthy, you know, money-wise, but just, you know, how we define abundance, we can do that in a variety of ways. It's not necessarily about money. You know, you could have, you know, a really strong family. That's abundance. To have a strong family, to have people that are in your life, that are caring about you, that are worried about you, that are involved in your life. It's part of your family's tradition. When I watched the press conference yesterday with is it Jacob Blake? I can't, I'm not sure of the last name of the man who was shot 7 times by the police in front of his children in the car. Yeah. His family came out yesterday and spoke, and his mother, I mean, I just sat there in tears. the resolve and the grace of this woman is just, it's just, I mean, there aren't any words. All you can do is find tears. The blessing that this woman, I mean, just the matriarch of this family. And they all, you know, it's clear that they're all there for Jacob and the family, for his family, his children. So I don't know, you know, when we talk about abundance, given, you know, irrespective of the challenges, and I haven't checked on his status yet today, but so far, you know, he had surgery yesterday, so I haven't heard. But if everything goes well, then he will recover. But, you know, his life is going to be filled with many, many challenges going forward. So he has the abundance, though, of that family around him. So that's what I mean about abundance. It's not necessarily money. It's not the things that you have, the tangible things you have. It's the relationships that you have with others. There's your true abundance. So let's see if we can modify what the 9 says. Well, we have the 10 of Cups. Again, exactly what I was talking about. The abundance of family. You see the rainbow above, the 10 cups arranged in the same shape as the rainbow. You see the family. The kids are dancing. Mom and dad are raising their arms up in supplication to the life that they've built together. But you don't see a castle. You don't see what you see here, or what we're judging that we're seeing here, because maybe we're not. It's just that this looks like a woman of means, likely the queen, out on a Sunday hunt with all of her, you know, abundance around her. But the true abundance, the abundance of the 10 or the 1, reduces to 1, so new beginnings, like we've got here. But whatever the struggle, you know, whatever the trying to figure it all out, that process was, it resulted in a new direction toward abundance, which can take the form of riches, or in the case of Jacob's family, it takes the form of family, which, as far as I'm concerned, you know, the money's fleeting. The money can all go away, but family, and that's been challenged, hasn't it, over the last few years? We've seen family and friends torn apart because of the political ideology and political outcomes and all of that. And all of that's threatened now. We see it manifesting in a variety of ways. We see it manifesting in the hate speech that's going on. I mean, especially if we're looking at it in terms of the collective family, not just our immediate one. We've got a lot of hate speech. We've got a lot of violence, as we've seen, police violence against people of color, or against anyone if you're protesting. So, I don't know. Hagalaz is the rune for today. The 9th rune of the Elder Futhark, it's one of the Norn runes, Norn rune of the past. It's known as the Witch rune. Represents the goddess Hel, or Hela, depending on how you want to see her. Tradition is Hel, Hel. The guardian of the underworld, of Helheim. Not to be confused with the Christian version of hell. But it's transformation within a fixed framework. So if you think witchcraft, you're setting your boundaries for what you want to do, and then you do it, right? Well, that's the whole idea behind Hagalaz. What are we going to do to transform, which is really the 5, within a fixed framework, which I view the Page of Wands, because a decision's been made. So there's your fixed framework, right? To achieve success and abundance. And security, family security, could also be the 10. Whatever we're going to do now is going to give us that in the long run, basically, is what we're talking about. And so with Hagalaz, that's the kind of transformation within a fixed framework I think that this is talking about. Again, it's going to also align with the 9 and the 9 of Pentacles. But I think that the change that they're talking about here in the 5 of Wands is one that's going to take us into a new experience, basically. Not just about perceptions, but about how we manifest this going forward. I mean, we're in a 22 year. So, you know, right there we're talking, you know, a master number. You know, 11, 22, 33, they're all master numbers. 11, of course, is awakening and enlightenment. Well, see, and I'm throwing things down again, which I can't do, because then they fall under things and I can't find them. I don't know why I can't seem to hang on to stuff anymore, and I don't have my light in here to go. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right. The last time this happened, it went underneath. It went underneath my desk here. I've got shelves, and it went underneath there, and I couldn't find it. So I ended up having to do it differently, but I'm not doing that today. That didn't go out very well. Geomancy's done. I do it with 4 runes, and on one side there are 2 dots, the other side there are 3, or there are 3, there's 1. And they arrange in fire, air, water, and earth in that order. Let's see, this one is water, so we want that one there. Is that Acquisitio? I think so. Let me use my cheat sheet here. Yeah. First I was thinking it was a Missio, but it's not. It's Acquisitio. Acquisitio is gain. And here's the thing about geomancy runes. You can actually interpret them, once you know what the meanings of them are, what you can do is you can interpret them in terms of increase and decrease. So say you had a Missio, which is the complement to Acquisitio. You have gain and you have loss. Gain with Acquisitio and loss with a Missio. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the loss is negative. It could be, if you're having a conflict with somebody, it could be the end of the conflict. So the loss of conflict, you see. So depending on how we want to look at this, we can see this as a gain of some kind or an increase of some kind. So more of something is happening today. And that's your rune. That's the geomancy rune. And again, if you want to see a current reading, it's on the blog. I published it last night. So, and it's done in terms of the house chart instead of the shield chart. I mean, you have to do a shield chart initially just to figure out what you know the runes are going to be. But from there, I transferred it over to a house chart, and I just thought it was really cool, looking at things in terms of how everything is reflected within the astrological houses and how they interact with that. So I just thought that was cool. And so you can get an idea of what geomancy looks like if you want to go check that out. And I also did a Foundations in Magic series on them. I think it's 3 parts where we talked about how to do a shield chart, basically. And I introduced people at that time to the house chart, but we didn't do one, I don't think. I don't think I did. No, I don't think I did. I think I just did the shield chart. But in any event, check that out. It's over there on YouTube. I have them in sections. I did little, section things, and so you can see it there. The Foundations in Magic, what is it, section or not channel, but I forget what they're called. Playlist, I think, maybe, or something. I forget what it's called. Anyway, I have a bunch of different ones, and so I just try to keep everything in their categories, basically. For easier finding, because there's a bunch of videos on there. I mean, I do these every day, so I don't know. Well, not this one, but anyway, about the whole idea of gain, again, once we establish a new path forward, a new sense of organized and shared will, so that we understand what we're doing here and why we're doing it, what the whole purpose is involved, we've set our course with the ultimate outcome of gain of some kind, either gaining the love and security of family, or maybe abundance, and wealth. I mean, it can go either way, but again, what's really in the final analysis going to be your best amount, the greatest amount of wealth that you could have is being surrounded by family and having security that way. No matter how much money you have, it really isn't about that. And in this 22 year, which is what I started to say about the master numbers, you've got a profound soul level change that's possible right now. And just look at what's happening. No matter what kind of structures are trying to be messed with right now on the federal side of things, whether it's our Constitution or the Postal Service or what have you, our ability to vote, just our ability to get our medications if we get them through the mail, which most, I don't know about most, but a lot of people do. Veterans, seniors, other people do as well. It just seems to be, it's just the way I know the federal government wants to do things. And now they just want to upend everything. And so you have to ask yourself, well, why? Well, it's because they want to destroy the structures to remain in power. It's to demoralize people and to get people so, unsure and afraid and feeling like there's nothing they can do. Well, actually, the 5 is telling us there's a lot we can do. And we have to reassert that will to say, you guys aren't going to do this. Now, maybe that resolves itself on election day. I don't know. If it doesn't, then we're in trouble. Everyone's in trouble. And, whatever you think is happening, it's not. There's something entirely different happening here. And it's extraordinarily nefarious, and it's criminal. So please understand that, and this may also be trickling down into experiences in your personal life. Because once this energy gets started in a big way, it trickles down to other people. Other people feel emboldened to act this way. And we've seen over the last, say, 10 years or so, this push toward dismantling the fundamental structure guaranteed by our Constitution. And we've been watching this happen, and I think that even though a lot of people understood the danger here, I don't think the will was there to be able to stop it. But now that we see the dramatic increase in this, I mean, did you ever think we would see the Postal Service not deliver our mail on time? This is being done by design. It's being done to upend your constitutional rights here in this country. And we can't let that happen. We absolutely cannot let that happen, because everything we hold dear is being threatened by it. Okay? So, new manifestation of will, how we relate to one another is at the heart of all of it. If you look at the 22 and you break it down into 2 and 2, you've got polarity within and balancing the polarity within on both sides of the equation. So if you think about this in terms of relationships, the 22 is really about manifesting a new collective consciousness with all of us. And maybe we've got to see the negative side of things, the harsh side of things, the side where people want to come in and destroy all of that, and we got to see what the effect of that is. We see it when our police department says they're attacking people of color. I mean, all you have to do is watch the press conference yesterday with Jacob's family. And it just shows you what's at stake here. To watch that video, my husband watched it several times last night. I couldn't watch it again. I've seen it enough, and I can't, being empathic, I feel all the emotion around it. And then being intuitive, I understand what happened. Now, this can't continue to happen, and yet it seems to be doubling down. Instead of, see, it's like the light is returning, but what the darkness does, it's like, oh, no, we're going to overshadow all of it. We're going to keep things really unclear. And when you have a president who decides that the protesters in Portland are anarchists, oh, are you kidding me? No, they're not. They're hippies, and they're moms, and they're dads. Come on. They're people who meditate. They're people who do yoga. No. There might be a few people getting carried away, but most of it are people that are being trucked in. This is not, and to say these things about the people of Portland, oh, come on. It's not true. But see, they're going to confuse the situation. See, and make you think, oh, Portland's way of life is being threatened. This is what we do in Portland. We protest. It's part of the deal. You live in Portland, you protest. Okay? It's just what we do there. It's what we in Oregon do. It's just part of who we are. We have causes. We're environmentalists. We speak truth to power. I've got a brother-in-law who's an activist for salmon. I mean, this is just what we do. If we don't like it, we write the governor. We say, hey, what are you doing? What are you letting happen? Can't do that. Think about this. We get informed here. We're not anarchists. We're Oregonians. It's just what we do. We speak truth to power. We get together. I mean, my God, we have a naked bike ride once a year and through Portland. This is what I'm saying. This is Oregon. This is just who we are. Yes, we blew up a whale on the coast one time. But we got it together after that. And now this is what we do. We're not anarchists. We're not bad people. Good Lord. Portland is just the best place ever. Made better by the people raising their voices. In harmony. For a purpose. And in this case, it's to protect people. So yeah, you've got both sides here, one trying to cloud the issue and the other speaking truth to power. So you can see how that dynamic is working right now, or not, right? So anyway, this is what we've got. What will be our gain? What will be our acquisitio? Will it be family? Abundance? Or will it be more deception and criminality? That's the choice. 2 is also about choice. So do we choose to go forward on a shared path together in truth and understanding and full clarity? Or do we continue to remain deceived? I know what I want. Anyhow, that's it. We'll talk again tomorrow. And do check out, I am going to publish this. I swear, in a timely way. It will get published today sometime, whenever it gets done, uploading and processing. The other one's not done yet, I don't think. Let me see. 87% uploaded. So anyway, not done yet. So I can't do this one yet, but I'll watch it. And in that time, hopefully the other one will be done. And we'll get this one going up on YouTube too. So anyhow, we'll see you tomorrow though. And click subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Check out the blog over at imsteppingaside.com. It's called Stepping Aside. It's a witch and herbalism blog. And have a wonderful day. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Wear a mask if you go out and you're around anybody at all, inside or out. Have a mask on. And blessed be.